Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the brake shoes on our Honda 2003 Rancher 350 two-wheel drive manual shift. Pretty simple to do. When you order the kit from Honda, they actually send you the shoes along with all these little bits that you're going to need to rebuild it properly. So let me get this thing lifted up in the air, the front tire's off, and I'll show you how to get it done. Alright guys, this is going to be a skill level 1, but it is at the top of the scale for that skill level 1, so you really need to pay attention how things come apart so you can get them put back together correctly. As far as the tools that you're going to need, just going to need a 27 and a 17 millimeter socket, a decent torque wrench. You may or may not need a breaker bar. Other than that, you just need a flat blade screwdriver, a decent pair of needle nose pliers, a wire brush, and just a soft blow hammer. Now as far as the drawings, if you would reference those, that'll give you a better picture of how everything goes together, because there are a lot of little bits and pieces that have a certain way that they have to go back together. So reference that if you can't follow along in the video. As far as the parts, Honda sells this as a kit, which includes the shoes for both sides, as well as the springs and the different pins, everything that you're going to need to get the entire project done. So once you have all of that together, I can show you how to get it done. All right, we've got our tire off. Let's go ahead and get this cotter pin out. And just initially looking at this, it looks like somebody's already been into this one and done some work. So they may be good to go without any problem. But I'm still going to open it up to show you how to do it. All right, it's going to be a 27 millimeter. Use this impact to knock it off. All right, I've pulled this little plug here, and what that does, it opens up. If you've got the hub in the right area, is the piston that's in there. There's actually two of them. What we're going to do is bring those back in, and that should give us enough room to pull the drum off. And I'll show you what I'm talking about once we get it removed. We're going to ratchet these back to their closed position, and the other one's down here. All right, let's pull our hub and see what we've got in there. All right, she is off. Now I can show you what we were doing. Taking these adjustments and running them all the way in. So in other words, we're taking this and we're prying against that outside edge, and we were forcing it in, if you were looking down on it, clockwise direction. And we were doing the same thing down there. What that did is that shortened up our distance. That releases the tension on the, or the adjustment on the pads itself. And that allows for the hub to get taken off. All right, to finish breaking this down, what you do is actually these little clips, push in on them, kind of get things broken loose. Then you can grab that pin and turn it. Now the clip comes off. Do the same thing for the bottom. Push it, break it loose. If it's corroded like this was, turn it, then your clip can come off. All right, at this point, you can pretty much just lift up on them and then lift them off of these little cylinders that actually push out on them. All right, so what's next? Well, it doesn't look too awfully bad in here, but it is a little crunchy. So what we're going to do is go ahead and clean this up. Clean up this hub, and you can see the surface here where the actual brake shoes go against this drum. All you're wanting to do is just clean up the surface. If you've worn down your shoes to the point it was just metal and it's got the surface all scarred up, well, you probably need to go ahead and replace it. That's not what happened in this case. It just has a bit of an edge on the inside and the outside, so I just want to knock that off to where it's got a clean surface to start with. Once you finish knocking down those ridges, just finish it up with some brake cleaner. One little note, however you were getting that out, whether it be with a wire brush or a piece of sandpaper, don't breathe the dust. I'm pretty sure brake dust is not good for you, so don't do it. What I'm doing right here, guys, is I'm cleaning out the seal, getting all the dirt and everything out, because when we go to put that together, we're actually going to put a layer of grease on both those two cavities. That'll keep it from prematurely wearing and will also help it seal and keep mud, dirt, and water out of the housing. This all doesn't have to be perfect, but the less contaminants you have in there, the better. All right, let's go and get our shoes built up before we put them up there. All right, what we want to do is lay them with the numbers or letters that are printed. We want that facing up toward us because that's going to end up going to the inside. So get your spring part and you want it to go on that furthest point here. And then the other end goes to that hole right there. And do the same thing for the other side. Now, when you raise it up here, you want to make sure that the spring is away from the adjuster on both sides. So see how this long section without the spring is near this one, that piston, and that one over there. Now, we can go ahead and lay it in and then just stretch it down and get all four edges of the brake shoe in those slots. That's the way it should look when you've got it on properly. All right, now we can go ahead and put the retention spring in. Make sure you've got that little rubber grommet inside the back plane correctly. So you want to put that pin back through. You want it laying flat like there. Then you take this and you want it to face toward the end without the spring. So you push that down, you reach in, turn, and that'll hold it in place. Now we just need to do the same thing for the pin on the bottom. Get that centered, and we're good to go. We should be able to just put our drum back on. But before you do that, clean off the spindle, and there's an O-ring at the end of the spindle right here. We want to make sure that's still in good shape. A little layer of grease all over that spindle. All right, before you get the hub on there, make sure your pads are lined up. There's an outer edge on this back plane. Just eyeball it the best you can, top and bottom, so that they're centered. And let's see if she goes on. There she is. Now, since we've got new brake pads on there, we pretty much leave those adjusters where they are. As the pads start to wear, you'd want to come around and do a couple of clicks on either one, get a little bit more life out of them as you're going through the entire span that they can be used. All right, go ahead and get this little dirt and dust plug back in. Now we need to get our axle nut on. All right, we're going to torque this to 58 pounds, and when you torque it, you need to then look and make sure you can get the cotter pin shot through either this direction or this direction. Now, if it doesn't line up on either one, it's okay to put a little bit more on it to get it to where the cotter pin can go through. You don't want to back it off because you want at least 58 pounds on it. There. The way I usually do it is one is usually a little bit longer than the other. I usually put the shorter of the two toward the inside and the longer one on the outside. Well, all right, guys, that pretty much wraps up this side of the machine. I basically need to go over to the other side and do the exact same thing because it is a mirror image and it's exactly the same process. Well, listen, if you need any of the parts that we use to do this, why don't you find us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, we just want to say thanks for watching.